Why on earth are you doing this? If you thought, as Jim Irsay, that tweeting this would all of a sudden solve the running back injustices.
He fixed it.
Woohoo, I did it. Snap my finger. One zeet, and all of a sudden we're good.
Yeah.
You're completely senseless for thinking that, but that's fine. But it did so little good and so much bad last night that I'm just flabbergasted that he would have gone down that path. Jim Irsay is the owner of the Colts. All he is doing by tweeting that last night is basically taking a loudspeaker and looking at Jonathan Taylor and his agent and giving him a proverbial middle finger of some sorts.
If I die tonight and Jonathan Taylor's out of the league, no one's going to miss us. The league goes on. I mean, we know that. The National Football rolls on. It doesn't matter, who comes and who goes.
Burn them all! With Dan Snyder gone, this might finally be the moment when Irsay embraces his role as the league's Mad King. Not only does he have a history of extreme erratic behavior, but now he's literally setting fires in his own damn kingdom. Some people think winning is all that matters in sports, but all my life I've seen dudes knocked for not winning the right way. Let's be real, bro. Everybody knows that at the end of the day, Jim Irsay is gonna win this feud between him and Jonathan Taylor. He very clearly has all the leverage as the running back market has completely bottomed out. Then Jonathan Taylor is coming off an injury. Oh, and by the way, Irsay owns the team. So in reality, this was never a fair matchup to begin with. Irsay was favored to win this game by like 50 damn points. And after he scores his 8th touchdown of the day, he stands in front of Jonathan Taylor's locker like this, which is why you saw Jonathan Taylor's agent respond like this. Over the years, bro, we've all heard countless criticisms of certain players showing up opponents in an unsportsmanlike way. So when the owner of the team says publicly that nobody would care if his 24-year-old running back was out of the league, while that player is seeking a new contract that the owner has already said he's not getting. It's just so flagrant and unsportsmanlike. I'll use a word that don't feel offensive, but it should be. It's indecent. It's clear that Irsay and Jonathan Taylor, or Jonathan Taylor's agent, have been having conversations about a potential new contract. Irsay takes a hard stance and says no, which is cool. But then you go on Twitter and put your player on blast in front of the world? Bro, you own the damn team. Of course we know who you talking about. But like I said, winning the game you're supposed to win, bro, it's normal. It's fine. But do you really need to do the celebratory dance on Twitter? This is how I felt when I seen Jim Irsay on Twitter.
That is a disgusting act.
The Twitter portion of this feud started July 26th. When Jim Irsay, owner of the Colts, tweeted this: "We've negotiated a CBA that took years of effort, hard work, and compromise. It was negotiated in good faith by both sides. So to say now that a specific player category wants another negotiation after the fact, that, my guy, is inappropriate." It's funny because the NFL owners were all cool with a second negotiation after the 2020 CBA. They had an agreement with the players, but then the circumstances changed and Irsay and his cohorts ripped it up and tried again. So they went back and modified a brand new CBA to better suit their needs since circumstances had changed drastically since the original negotiations took place. I'm a reasonable dude, so I think that's reasonable. Let's try to work together to make this make sense for everybody. And Irsay was cool with that when the players was making concessions, but now the shoe's on the other foot and all of a sudden it's inappropriate. Everybody knows NFL running backs today are like new cars. The second they leave the lot, their value tanks tremendously. It's like the second you get drafted with a first round pick, by the time you put that hat on, you only worth a fifth. So under this current structure, a team owns a running back's rights for the first 4, 5, 6 years of their career. So in this current market, bro, that team owns the running back's entire career. Running backs are basically living in a pre-free agency world where it's like, play for whatever contract I offer you or retire. That reality is why Jim Irsay's "nobody would miss you if your career ended today" comment is more or less a threat. It's not a strong enough threat to like stand up in court. You can argue it the other way. I'm sure there's points people have made, but at the end of the day, we all know what he's getting at. Either play for what we offered or retire. Simple as that. Now, something that could possibly be a coincidence, but just feels targeted due to the timing. After all of this fuss, bro, a rumor comes out of nowhere that Jonathan Taylor reported back pain in a pre-camp physical. Now, he's coming off a different injury, so if he also has back pain, that would be a great reason not to give a dude a contract. And it would make him look kind of silly even trying to renegotiate in this market coming off an injury with a new injury. Thing is though, according to Jonathan Taylor himself, he says he never felt or reported any back pain. what is going on in Indianapolis? Alright man, let's take a quick break to thank today's sponsor, SeatGeek. The NFL season is almost here, and today's video sponsor, they've been here the whole time. With over 28 million downloads, they're the top rated ticketing app, and they have upwards of 70,000 events to choose from per day. So if you want to watch your favorite NFL team in person this year, SeatGeek is gonna make that really easy to do. Now they always want to make sure you're getting a good deal, so when you're on the app, remember, green dots mean a good deal, red dots mean a bad deal. So all you gotta do is select your tickets accordingly. But no pressure, because every ticket's backed by their buyer guarantee. And they're the only site that lets you return tickets using a feature called swaps. And if you use my promo code FlemLo at checkout, you'll get $20 off your first SeatGeek order. Again, that's $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase when you use my code FlemLo at checkout. Man, shout out to SeatGeek once again for sponsoring the video, and without further ado, it's time to jump back in. If I'm JT, it's hard to trust anybody in the organization right now, because if you're him, it's gotta feel like they're conspiring against you. Because if he truly never told anybody about any back pain and they just made it up and leaked it, dropping him even further down on an already bottomed out running back market, that would be actually terrifying. But at the same time, how many people would be surprised? Or maybe he never reported it, but had what he thought was a private convo with a teammate or somebody within the organization. Then you look up one night and all that info's on the internet. That'll have me in a state of all-out paranoia. Of course he wants to be traded. I don't want to spend 15 hours a day at this place surrounded by people who I think I can't trust, with a team owner who's made it public how much he doesn't value me and how I'm just a cog in a system that no one will remember. And while of course there's a level of truth to that for all of us, we're all ultimately insignificant in the grand scheme of the universe. But no half-decent employer says this publicly about an employee. There's this thing we used to value. We called it respect. It makes life feel more meaningful. And you still have friction and conflict. You just resolve it in a more respectful way. And I don't know why people think that's soft. Like, demanding your respect ain't never been soft. You gotta stand on something, but at the same damn time, you can't expect people to adhere to your demands for respect if you don't respect nobody else. Now, I've seen some people's reactions to the Irsay comments saying corny bull. Like, not one lie was told. Politics have made us believe that in order to be a real man or a real woman, you just required to spew hateful bullshit. These people have lost touch with what it means to be decent. Not good, not a saint, not perfect, just decent. And listen, man, sometimes you gotta make a point that might offend some people. But with most of this crap, it's become clear that the only point is to offend. Like, that's the whole damn purpose that you're even speaking. There's no larger goal or greater good. You just running your damn mouth. Back to the intro statement. With Dan Snyder gone, this might finally be the moment when Irsay embraces his role as the league's Mad King. Not only does he have a history of extreme erratic behavior, but now he's literally setting fires in his own damn kingdom. Now, I wasn't even gonna point out Jim Irsay's documented history of alcoholism and drug abuse, and while I'm not gonna focus on it, I have made a decision to go ahead and point it out, because if he was a player, they would have opened with that fact in an attempt to use that history to discredit his position. But I got another angle, and again, this is all documented. Jim Irsay's dad, who Jim inherited the team from, by the way, actually had a long history of mistreating his employees. There's stories about how much employees feared Irsay's dad, and how on Fridays at noon, seasoned employees knew not to be nowhere near the damn office, because Irsay's dad was coming and he'd be 7 or 8 drinks in, and he was on a mission to fire somebody. They said it can be a coach, it can even be a janitor, somebody in the scouting department, bro. It didn't even matter. Dude just had a mean streak and he wanted to take it out on somebody, so he'd get full of the sauce, show up, and ruin somebody's life. Now, Jim Irsay grew up watching this, and it seems that early on, he really tried hard to be the opposite of his dad. According to a 2021 article by The Athletic, unlike his dad, Jim Irsay wouldn't meddle or micromanage. Yes, he had his eccentricities, but he'd let people do their jobs, and mostly just stay out of the way. Now, this article was printed just a couple of years ago, but since then it seems Jim's becoming more and more like his dad. In 2022, every Colts exec tried to do their jobs by begging Jim not to hire a guy off TV mid-season. Of course he did it anyway. Jim was upset that his team was 3-5 at that point in the season, so he hired an ex-Colts player who was working for ESPN and only had a couple years of high school coaching experience. But Jim had an impulse and he just had to go with it. No pun intended, it but Jim beamed with pride when his coach won his first game. Then he proceeded to lose every other game for the rest of the season. Today, despite having a brand new first-time head coach, who I'm sure would absolutely love to have a run game, despite having a promising young rookie quarterback, who I'm sure would love to turn around and hand the ball to a dude who rushed for 3,000 yards and 29 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons. But despite those facts, Jim Irsay has decided to publicly position himself as that player's enemy. And while he's gonna win this game because he has all the leverage, just do me a favor, bro. When you score your 9th touchdown, could you just please not moon the locker room while you're winning? Just toss the ball to the ref, man. We get it. You win.
That is a disgusting act, and it's unfortunate that we had that on our air live. That is disgusting.